coming up.
That was something that perhaps I might have expected in the 1920s yearbooks, but certainly not 1979.
Some disturbing images uncovered at UNC have people asking just how far have we come in the fight against racism.
Students erected a memorial for a black student killed on 70. Less than 24 hours later, it's disappeared. We'll bring you the details.
And it's the holiday that some people love and some people love to hate. But regardless of your relationship status, we've got the scoop on things to make your Valentine's Day a little sweeter.
From the UNC School of Media and Journalism, connecting Carolina's campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Peyton Walker.
And I'm Bright McConnell. Let's get right to our top story. Well, UNC is no stranger to the issue of race relations. Silent Sam made national headlines, and now another controversial piece of history is sparking debate. Reporter Sydney Persing is covering the story. She joins us live from the undergraduate library. Sydney?
It's been sitting in the library for years, and it's gone completely unnoticed. Now, this yearbook is the talk of the town, and it's raising a number of questions about the treatment of black people at UNC.
On campus. 24 hours later, it's information in accordance.
They would call you a nigger for no reason. I mean, you're just minding your own business, and I guess they thought it was funny.
That's how Alan Johnson remembers life as a student at UNC in 1979. And because of a resurfaced yearbook photo, it's how much of the state is remembering that year as well. Days before the conversation started in North Carolina, it started in Virginia, when Governor Ralph Northam's medical school yearbook became the focus of national attention. It got one Raleigh-based reporter thinking.
Well, I was reading, obviously, all the stories about the Virginia governor, and one of my colleagues pointed out that there's a database called Digital NC that has yearbook digitized for a lot of universities in North Carolina dating back for decades.
Campbell took to Twitter to share the photo he found with the world. It wasn't long before his post went viral, with 15,000 retweets and 24,000 likes. A few days later, he's still surprised at what he found.
That was something that perhaps I might have expected in the 1920s yearbooks, but certainly not 1979.
But as a black man who went to UNC in 1979, Johnson wasn't surprised at all.
That kind of racism, that kind of expression was not uncommon then. Something that just was a fact of life, one of the unpleasant facts of life, if you were a student of color in Chapel Hill.
UNC was quick to denounce the photos, both on Twitter and to the press.
It's a horrific part of our past, one that I think has no place then or now in our university system.
For Johnson, the then is less important than the now.
The thing that is most disconcerting to me is that we're all talking about 1979. I would not be at all surprised if you were to see that kind of thing in 2019.
Campbell says whether the focus is on the then or the now is entirely up to the public.
Someone sent me a link to one from, I think, the 1913 yearbook where there was a particularly racist cartoon about African-American workers at UNC. So there's a lot more back there than what I found. So I think it's just a matter of who wants to spend the time going through years and years of these yearbooks, because they are all out there.
None of the people in the photo have been identified yet, and despite a number of calls for Governor Northam to resign, he's continued to say he plans to stay in office until the end of his term. In Chapel Hill, Sydney Persing reporting.
That was Sydney Persing live from the undergraduate library. Thanks, Sydney.
The Silent Sam activist who famously poured paint and blood in the statue in August is back in honor court to appeal her sentence. Maya Little is arguing that her sentence was too severe. The honor court had given her 18 hours of community service and a warning letter back in October. Little says there wasn't enough evidence to punish her in the first place, and the judgment is a violation of her basic rights. The court still has not reached a verdict on the appeal.
Before Maya Little's hearing, students placed a plaque in the pit to honor a black student killed on campus in 1970. But now that plaque is gone. The university says it removed the memorial for James Cate, who was killed in the pit by a Nazi-affiliated motorcycle gang. The plaque was meant to be a reminder of Cate's life, but students installed it without consulting university officials first. The university says the plaque violated facilities policies, which do not allow temporary structures to remain overnight.
While one plaque came down, another is going up in CARRBORO. The CARRBORO Board of Aldermen recently approved the wording of what they're calling their Truth Plaque. This plaque will hang right outside of the CARRBORO town to explain the history of the town and its namesake, Julia Carr. Carr was a prominent North Carolina industrialist and white supremacist. The information will include several statements about the history of the town. It says, although the town continues to bear his name, the values and actions of Carr do not represent CARRBORO today.
UNC can claim numerous Nobel Prize laureates, Pulitzer Prize winners, and Rhodes Scholars, but now we can add a Grammy Award winner to that list. Former UNC history professor William Ferris's 4-disc set, titled Voices of Mississippi, took home 2 Grammys for Best Historical Album and Best Album Notes. The album includes audio recordings of blues and gospel musicians from Ferris's home state, and it's been his life's work for over 50 years.
I think the Grammy Awards are the pinnacle of my life's work. So I feel very grateful, not just for me, but for the people whose voices are part of this project. Many of them in rural Mississippi who are no longer alive. And I know their voices will never be forgotten because of these awards.
An exhibit on Ferris is on display at the Love House at the Center for the Study of American South, which is located on Franklin Street.
Well, we finally have a winner. Just last night after 11 o'clock, Ashton Martin became the next student body president at UNC. Martin, a political science major, says that she felt immediate relief when her name was called. She says the other candidates ran great campaigns, but she's ready to hit the ground running.
I want people to believe in student government again as a viable platform for having their voices and concerns heard, and not only heard, but something's actually going to be done about it.
Martin will officially be inaugurated as student body president in April.
Coming up, just as fast as they open, they close.
We'll have the story on the latest Franklin Street businesses saying their goodbyes.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
Meet Blue. Blue's not feeling well. The prescription? Generic medication. Blue wonders, do they really work as well as name brands? Yes, generics and name brand medications do work the same. Even though they may look different, generics have the same key ingredients. FDA approval is equally rigorous for generics to make sure they're as safe and effective as name brands. And Blue even saves some green, making him a little less, well, blue. Talk to your doctor about generics. .gov/generic drugs.
Well, more businesses have shut their doors in Chapel Hill.
And all are within a block of each other on Franklin Street. Popular rap joint Beeskie's shut down in January after changing ownership. Chinese takeout specialist Asia Cafe closed around the same time and will be replaced by a Curry Point Express. Sugarland, which served cupcakes, gelato, and wedding cakes, unexpectedly shut down a couple weeks ago. Tamati also shut its doors after a short stay on Franklin Street. And now Roots Bistro, known for its Guatemalan cuisine, is set to close down soon, leaving just one location in Durham.
As students say goodbye to a handful of restaurants along Franklin Street, one Raleigh-based brewery is actually planning to debut in Chapel Hill soon. GIZMO Works, a brewery and tap room based in Raleigh, will open a Chapel Hill location on Franklin Street. The brewery will renovate the space that used to house the Rathskeller. The new space will have room for live music performances, and owners hope the new look will allow GIZMO Works to make its own name despite the Rathskeller's 60-year legacy in the underground Franklin Street space. GIZMO Works hopes to open its doors soon on Franklin Street by June.
Well, parking downtown is a constant hassle for drivers, but the Chapel Hill Town Council wants to change that. With open doors disappearing before its eyes, the town is looking for ways to create more parking. Estimates from town staff are calling for 1,000 new spots, including 100 at the Wallace parking deck. The new additions to the deck, located at the corner of East Rosemary and Henderson Streets, would cost $600,000. Other proposed ideas include shared parking, in which buildings only occupied during the day would open their lots to the public at night, and off-site parking for business employees. For students like Austin Bender, it's better late than never on finding new ways to make room for cars.
Parking measures are pretty much long overdue. As a student who goes here and has to park on Franklin Street, it's pretty frustrating.
Chapel Hill Town staff plan to formally ask the Town Council for funding for the Wallace edition in the next couple of weeks.
It seems like there are a lot of changes every year in Chapel Hill, but one constant has been the Ackland Art Museum. This year, the museum is celebrating its 60th anniversary. In honor of the milestone, the museum has new art and exhibits for guests to enjoy. The museum has updated 3 of its showrooms, in addition to setting one aside for the beautiful brain, the drawings of Santiago Ramon y Cajal. In keeping with tradition, the museum is free to the public, and Ackland plans to continue its celebrations in the months ahead.
Carolina for the Kids is a campus organization with the mission to raise money for the UNC Children's Hospital, and the group just wrapped up their biggest fundraiser of the year. The group raised more than $41,000 in just 24 hours, starting at the men's basketball game against Virginia on Monday night and ending with door-to-door fundraising on Tuesday night. Students also held other fundraisers, including benefits at Buns and other restaurants. Public Relations Chair Marissa Devine says she appreciates any help they can get for patients and families.
So the mission of Carolina for the Kids is to provide that emotional, financial, and medical support to these patients and families so that their days could be a little bit brighter and they can take a little bit of a deep breath sometimes, and that's what we're here for.
Carolina for the Kids is actually the largest student-run organization in North Carolina with more than 1,000 student members. All right, well, it's been cold and wet this week.
Absolutely. Will that warm, sunny weather ever come back and stick around? Let's go to Tommy Friedenberg with our forecast.
Hey guys, I'm here at Boschmer Stadium, home of the Diamond Heels, who are on the field behind me here practicing for their season opening series against the Xavier Musketeers coming up this weekend. So listen in for an update on how you can come prepared to battle the elements and cheer on your 7th-ranked Tar Heels. Today is a lot like our weathercast last week. It's pretty sunny, but looks can be a little deceiving. It's not quite as warm, especially with the wind blowing, and tonight the temperatures are going to dip down more like into the low 30s or so, feeling much more seasonably appropriate than the 70s spring-like weather we had last week. Tomorrow, the good weather should continue with highs in the low 60s and still sunny. Now let's take a look at the weather for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Conditions will start to deteriorate a little bit starting on Friday, as the sun will be hidden by a few clouds, but the highs will still be in the 60s or so. It's on Saturday and Sunday where the rain is going to start to come. Now it's going to be in the low 60s to low 50s on Saturday with rain all day, and heading into Sunday it's going to be even colder with a high of 51 and a low of 42 or so, and again rain. That's it for weather from the Bosch guys. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks Tommy. And coming up, we're taking sports off the court and going online. Carolina Week Sports after the break.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Making just one connection during recovery from mental and substance use disorders can put the strength of family and community behind you. We're all connected, offering encouragement, support, and hope. Join the Voices for Recovery. Strengthen families and communities.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referrals for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HEALTH. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Colleen Brown. The fourth-ranked Cavaliers came to town on Monday night to take on the number 8 men's basketball team. Now, the Heels kept the score tight through the first half, trading the lead back and forth. UNC pulled ahead by 7 with just 8 minutes left in the game, but the Cavaliers retook the lead. Watch here as junior Kyle Guy drops a 3 in the last 2 minutes to seal the Cavaliers' victory. UVA's staunch defense held UNC shooting to just 35%. Heels lose 61-69, ending the team's 7-game win streak.
They didn't miss many shots, and I think that, again, 53% for them and 35 for us is a big part of the tale, too.
Now, this is certainly a disappointing loss for the Heels, even as the specter of the Blue Devil remains. UVA has lost only 2 games this season, both to Duke. And now on to tennis. A 4-0 smackdown against Duke on Monday put the Heels into yesterday's final at the ITA National Indoor Championship. UNC faced off against 5th-ranked UGA for all the money and came up short. The Bulldogs lost the doubles point but pulled out critical wins in singles to win the match 4-3. The Heels failed to defend last year's title, and it all came down to a third-set tiebreaker on court 1. Now, in addition to last year's win, the Heels won the ITA indoor title in 2013 and 2015. Now, the women's basketball team is gearing up to face Pitt on Thursday. After a disappointing loss to Duke, the Heels were able to pick up a road win against Clemson this weekend with the help of Paris Key. Now, she battled through a stomach flu to play. UNC is only 6-5 in ACC play, but Pitt is sitting at an abysmal 0-11 in the conference. That's a pretty impressive streak of 11 straight losses. With a fully recovered Paris Key and the opportunity for an easy win, the Heels should be able to get a road win in Pittsburgh. Esports, or competitive video gaming, is becoming more and more popular. I went to the Triangle's first esports championship fundraiser to try my hand at gaming.
The Triangle Esports Championship organizers had a few big goals: to help raise money for charity and introduce esports to the local community. Championship director Jatovi McDuffie is interested in dispelling a myth.
The gaming community is left out in a lot of arenas. There's a stigma around them. Oh, they're just kids in the basement. It's untrue. So I figured, yeah, look, that'd be kind of cool to reach into that community and say, you know, offer something to them, offer something to the kids or the parents.
Hundreds of competitors, many in elementary school, showed up to compete in the Fortnite and Rocket League tournaments. They even had play-by-play for the benefit of the crowd. The championship drew some big names, including UNC sophomore Matthew Ackerman. He plays Rocket League professionally and is so good, he's one of the top 100 players worldwide.
This game's like the best. No, it's not tiring, ever. It's work. It's work I love, but it's work.
So it's clear I'm not really any good at these games. Thankfully, the competitors here are. And it pays to be good, literally. Oh, it pays to be good, literally. The tournament has a prize pool of $1,000, while the Rocket League tournament, which is played in teams of 2, has a prize of $1,300 total. Being good can get you a big payday.
The point behind it is everybody can play. I can't go play in the NBA, but I can definitely sit here and play a video game with my buddy.
Not every player at the championship walked away with cash or prizes, but it's safe to say that many people, including myself,
learned more about esports.
The money raised at the tournament will go to the Triangle Literacy Council and the Cramden Institute to help promote reading and computer skills. That's all for Carolina Week Sports. Be sure to catch Sports Extra Friday at noon.
Thanks so much, Colleen. Well, it's a new twist on an old Valentine's Day treat.
Yep, that's right, and we'll give you all the delicious details coming up next. By George, we've almost done it.
Oh, hi. I suppose you're wondering what an A-list celebrity like me is doing in a place like this. You must know, I'm saving the world. Oh, hi, Beth. Yep, saving the world again. Did you know that 40% of all the food produced in the United States is thrown away? That means everything that went into that food, the pesticides, the water, the land, was all for nothing. Just look at this perfectly good food thrown in the trash. The pizza with extra Cheerios, these goldfish and Band-Aid tacos. And just look at this perfect trash burger. This pasta dog looks delicious.
You don't have to dumpster dive like Ed Begley Jr. to save the planet, right? Being smart and using what you buy before it gets trashed.
That's way better. Ooh, arugula.
Do your part and find out other world-saving tips at betterthaned.org.
Fell and I had.
America's oldest continuously operating candy company, Necco, went bankrupt last year. And that means none of those little heart-shaped candies with the messages on them, you know, those ones that come out every Valentine's Day. Yeah, none of those this year.
That's such a shame, but never fear, because Krispy Kreme is here. The donut shop is serving up heart-shaped donuts in those same classic pastel colors with printed messages like I love you, BFF, and even DM me. Each color is a different flavor, and people are loving them.
We were just going to get one each to try it, but we decided to get a dozen. My husband said, "What's DM me mean?"
The special donuts are now available through Valentine's Day. That's tomorrow.
Valentine's Day is all about celebrating the ones you love, and I set out to see what Tar Heels are planning to get their Valentines.
I'm actually getting her a robe from Amazon that look cozy.
It's so sweet.
I got him a 4-pack of craft beer.
What are you getting the girlie over here for V-Day?
I do not want to spoil it.
Vintage pinball machine.
Nice. She will love it.
It's just going to be like a bouquet of roses, and then I'm going to get like some of the chocolate covered roses and just put those in the bouquet, and then it's just going to be that in a card.
So my boyfriend and I both have very old cars, and neither of us have like an aux cord, and we just have CD players, so I'm going to make him a mixtape.
Aw, fun! I love it. Good throwback. Okay, what about you?
I'm in a long distance relationship, so he paid for the tickets to come down here and I paid for dinner, so.
So cute, so cute. Have a great time together.
I am getting them a painting, a perfume, and a romantic breakfast.
All right, guys, what you getting the ladies for Valentine's Day?
Right now I'm planning on just flowers and probably chocolates. She mostly just wants to spend time together, so we're gonna cook a meal together.
Love it, so cute. All right, what about you?
Oh, I don't have a lady in my life right now, but if I would have, I would have gotten like maybe the same thing, maybe some candy or flowers.
Just give it to a random girl. She'll still love it anyways.
We aren't getting each other anything because we decided that it's more important just to spend time together and like go to dinner and hang out.
Oh, that's so creative.
Yeah.
Some great ideas in there.
For sure. If you guys don't have anything for your significant others this year, watch it back, take some notes, all right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week. Thanks so much for watching.
Good night.